Hello out there in Rando Land. Welcome to yet another one of these wonderful Link to the Past Randomizer 2021 Tournament Qualifier matches, number 9 in fact. I'm Nehan Tiger and I'm joined by Penny Royal Oil. How you doing, Penny?
I'm doing okay. Glad to be on the other side of one of these races for once, because qualifiers have been wild this year. How you doing?
I am doing quite alright. We have got ourselves a pretty good pairing here to watch on screen. We've got on the left side the one and only the Pugmaster himself, Andy, and on the right another very talented runner in Walther. So really getting you some good runners tonight. And I'm just looking through the people that are in this this qualifier. We have over 110 people in this one tonight. There's a lot of very familiar names. If you've watched past tournaments, ALTTPR League, a lot of names that you might recognize from the Invitational League and the playoffs. So it's a pretty stacked group. But this will be a very interesting race, I think, between these two and everyone else apparently.
Yeah, I'd agree. You tend to play a little bit different in qualifiers, so even though this is, a late stage bracket level of matchup of players, they're probably not going to be playing the same as they would be in, late stage brackets. But these two are going to be putting on a great show. Their execution is both great, and in the qualifiers, a lot of a good strategy is to just kind of do everything as quick as possible, which execution players really excel at. So
Yep. So it will be particularly interesting to see how the seed starts out here. What it gives our players, that's always kind of an interesting thing. Just to keep in mind for the tournament, we've gone a fairly uniform setting here. This is going to be a standard start, so of course the seed is the worst. That is not not a good arbiter.
It's always a good sign when Uncle tells you that right away. 5 rupees out of the first chest doesn't really matter at all.
Yeah, Uncle just saying, yeah, this is going to be a bad time. Hopefully not. So, of course, we're seeing the standard start here. So we're going to go up through the rain and go over to the magic, I like to call it the magical floating bush, but this is the hole that you fall down to get to Uncle. And in the vanilla game, you would get the sword here, but alas, this is Randomizer, so we will get Can of Burna instead.
That's a real solid starting item. It's once you get used to how it works and know that the knockback is always up, it becomes a very effective weapon for trying to get bombs and just killing things on the way through.
Exactly. Once you figure out how you can set up things, it's fairly uniform in its approach at all times. As you mentioned, Penny, the knockback's always up. I believe the fireball, the fireball with like the little ball that goes around you, it gives you invulnerability, always starts in the same spot as well. So once you kind of figure that out, you can set yourself up to get through this first part pretty easily.
But worth noting, over on the right side, Walter did get a bomb off of the first drop from one of the knife guards next to that chest past Uncle, so he's set for escape at least.
And Andy has not picked up a bomb quite yet, so this will be interesting to see if he grabs one from a drop or if there's one hanging out somewhere else around here.
Yeah, I could see the ropes are in the same drop group as those guards are, so it could be a very viable strategy to just wait till you get to the ropes and kill them if you need to.
Yeah, usually I think you find that you end up having to kill them anyways. Oh, there's a bomb drop right there, so we're all good.
Yep, the ideal situation. Hey, Moon Pearl early is never a problem.
No, you're never gonna turn down an early Moon Pearl, even if it leads you on a bad path eventually. It's just good to have that. Good to have that kind of out of sight, out of mind. You don't have to worry about tracking it down later, and maybe it means you don't have to go do Aga either.
That would be a plus, but you know, Diaga starter pack does include the Moon Pearl, so you can hookshot across the river and go to Village of
Correct.
Outcasts.
Is correct.
So get the shield from Zelda's Cell. Now, this is hard mode, so we can only get up to the fire shield. All 3 shields are placed, but you can only pick up 2, and then you get $20 from the 3rd one.
Yes, indeed. And there's a couple of other wonderful changes in hard mode as well, which I like to tell some of our lovely viewers about some of the other changes, including, I believe, if I remember right, that the you don't have silvers in this if it's hard mode, and there's a couple of fewer mail upgrades.
Indeed, silvers are blocked out. You can sometimes see them, which is amusing if they're a freestanding item. You see the silvers and then pick up a green 20. It's always very disappointing. You've got the mail upgrades are capped at green mail, much like the NMG speedrun, so you are not going to see any mail upgrades. Health is capped at 14 by way of 16 heart pieces, 6 heart containers, and Sank heart. And those are much like the shields. They're all placed, all of the heart pieces, all of the containers. They change once you pick up enough. And last but not least, we are going to see nothing higher than Tempered Sword. You will get a green 20 instead of butter as well. Puts you, equipment-wise, very close to how the NMG speedrun ends up hitting at the end of the game. Is kind of the basis of hard difficulty here.
Absolutely. So, for those runners who have some experience with the NMG speedrun, it's not too much of a difficulty curve change. If you're new to Rando and you don't really know how to play it so much, I usually would say probably not the best idea to hop right into hard mode. It can be a little tough, but it's definitely a challenge for our runners here, and it's going to be a situation where, as you mentioned, Penny, that once you have the maximum number of upgrades, you start seeing these green 20 rupees in place of the items that you would pick up. So that's always kind of I always feel like that's kind of a disappointment when you run into something, because you're like, oh, I could have used that, but you know, it is hard mode. So we are seeing a nice use of the Can of Burna there as well from Andy, picking out the rat that's got the key right off the bat. And it looks like Walther is going to do the exact same thing. Both of them will use a bomb here and pick up these 3 chests on the left side as they go through the door. And there is a power glove and a blue potion bottle waiting for him.
Yeah, very nice to find a bottle before Kakariko. You can check the sick kid while you're there. Don't have to go back. The glove is, you know, necessary, but it doesn't do anything for you just yet.
Yeah, you're going to need some additional upgrades to be able to access those Dark World portals. Chiefly, the hammer is going to be needed before we can start to venture into the Dark World with what we've got.
10 arrows out of the Sanctuary chest, no one's really going to care about, and we're walking out of Sanctuary, probably headed over to Kakariko. Lots of items over there.
Yeah, Kakariko Lost Woods is, especially in this the standard game mode, usually the first play that we'll see from everybody. And you kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier, Penny, but having that sick kid check is going to be nice. One of the big things I've always felt like one of the big things to going fast in Randomizer is just like your efficiency of your routing. So the more stuff that you can check and kind of check off your list, the fewer checks you have to make later, the fewer trips you have to make, the fewer screen transitions you have to go through. So the more stuff you can just get out of the way, even if it's junk, it's not a bad thing there. And Mushroom's got a piece of heart. Probably we'll see our runners. I think we'll skip that for the most part. Yeah, they'll both skip it. Big 50 hanging out in the Lost Wood Thieves hideout.
Yeah, you know, I'm sure probably both of these two would have skipped that heart piece even in normal difficulty, but especially in hard where you know more pieces are placed than you're able to pick up, there's really no reason to waste time on the item jingle for one that you can avoid. You might as well just stick to the ones that are going to happen anyway.
That's probably a good point as well. You're going to find them in chests and whatnot, so you don't have to go out of your way. And we did there's our first check there. We have Pendant Tower of Hera, and there are crystals, a regular crystal at Eastern Palace and a red crystal at Desert Palace.
2 out of 3 ain't bad for Light World. I'll take 2 crystals in the Light World any day, pretty much.
I think I would too. You just want those pendants to be dungeons you don't have to go into in the Dark World.
So Blind Hut, we get bombs, we get a heart piece, we get a heart container, and we get 20 bucks. So really just nothing interesting in there at all. But we got this one last chest to check. Maybe it's good. Hey,
Ooh.
it is!
Yes, indeed. That's the hook shot. Not necessarily going to open up a whole lot right now, but that's a super useful item to have. It's going to be very helpful, especially getting it early on. It's going to be very, very helpful. And I'm already seeing Andy, of course, use that hook shot to traverse Kakariko a little bit quicker.
Yep, that's one of the reasons we always see Andy's name at the end of tournaments. He is very, very execution skilled and is able to recognize what he can do. Hammer
Ooh.
is Dark World access. That is wacky.
Yeah, an 8-minute, 40-second Dark World access. That's particularly quick. I would say so.
Oh, it is. And if I'm a runner in this qualifier, I am terrified right now. Because with an 8.5-minute Dark World access, there are every option open to you. Every option in the world, basically. And yeah, when you got 110 people in the race, every one of those options is probably getting taken, and one of them is going to be right.
Yep, exactly. There's so many options. Like you said, Penny, there's so many options. They're all going to be taken, and it really becomes a guessing game. If you're running this, I feel like I've always felt like if you're running a randomizer, the thing that you really want to see is a very linear seed, but with a lot of really front-loaded items. So you kind of get this idea of the game points you where you want to go. When you start to factor in the possibilities and all these choices you have to make. Oh, and there's a sword in the back of Tavern there for Andy. Getting the boomerang as well from Sick Kid. But when you start to factor in all these choices, you can lead yourself on a very long path that goes nowhere and just lose a ton of time.
Yeah, and if you try to be too thorough at the same time and just do like, okay, what's the most efficient way I can go through this? Well, you might get jet-seated by someone who's thought, hey, let's sequence rig up to East Death Mountain early and find my Titan's Mid and, my mirror up there. Cool.
Ooh. Okay, very quick, almost save and quit there from Andy. Almost a little bit like it's reflexive, but the flute is hanging out at the end of the maze race, so you're definitely
That's just so rude.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna go see him to go back and get that. And I wouldn't be shocked too if we also see them just walk back up to Kakariko and free the duck from the weather vane.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by that. I could also see maybe just diving into Dark World at that point. You're already back up there. Do you save and quit out, or do you just go to that Dark World portal?
That's like the first really big decision that our runners are going to have to make here, and not just Andy and Walther, but presumably we're seeing a lot of the runners come across the same kind of conundrum here. Which way do you go? You've got the duck, and now you've got so much open. You can go up to Death Mountain. You can go all over the place. Which way do you go?
I think my personal thing would probably be going to Hype Cave first, just for those 5 really, really quick items, but there are a lot of very good options. You're not wrong.
Right, you could flute down to 7 and go down the mini Moldorm Cave if you want to. You could go to 1, and we are seeing Andy go ahead and flute. He's gonna go down to 8. So I think he's going to do the Swamp Dam here, and we're also going to see him. Nice little bit of tech there. Always like to see that with the hook shot. As you're pushing that block, if you can hook shot through it and hook onto the chest behind it, and kind of float through the block and end up on a different layer than the block, which lets you kind of walk over it just for that moment. But Walther is going to Agina's Cave here, going to make a slightly different play. And check this out first. Interesting choice.
And we did see on the way over here a red 20 up on the ledge of desert, so no one's going to be picking that up at any point during the race.
And mini Moldorm Cave for Andy, as I kind of thought when he was going down to 8 there. One of the nice things having the hook shot makes killing the mini Moldorms super easy. Just have to hook shot them and they go away in one hit.
It is pretty pleasant.
Magic
Walter
powder.
now.
Oh, sorry about that.
I was gonna say, Walter now going down to the dam. It's the safe choice. If you're running this race, this is the safe way to route. It's not the go for the big brain, win the qualifier play. It's the I don't want to lose play.
Right. It's the I don't want to. It's the I'm focused more on time than I'm focused on finishing P1 here, and that's a good thing to keep in mind here. Is that this is going to be based on the runners' times. It's going to be their 5. They have to run 5 events, so you want to put in some good times for all of that, and don't want to have a really slow or really much of a wild goose chase race here. So we're going to see probably some efficient routing. I don't know if necessarily we'll see a lot of big gambles unless there's a reason to do that, but you're going to see them check places that are kind of like these high density locations where you can pick up a bunch of good stuff.
It's worth a note that we do have a stun prize of 20 rupees. We're still woefully short of enough money for Zora if it was important, but we have a good way to build up money very quickly.
I'm seeing a little bit of a flip-flop here. Walther will now be checking the locations we just saw Andy check, and Andy is going to be checking the locations we just saw Walther check. So it should be pretty even actually by the time we're pretty much back to where they were with Andy, just like a couple seconds ahead in the race between these two.
Saving quid out of Agino's cave, saving quid out of Ice Rod cave, and now where do they each go?
We did have a super quick question in chat here. Drosy pointing out that it's the mean time of the 5 runs is going to be the lowest, and the highest runs will be dropped, and then it will be the middle scores there are going to kind of be averaged together, and that's what you get for your time.
We got a Dark World map check, a red pendant at Pod, a green pendant sitting at Swamp, and our other 5-6 crystal was, I believe, at Thieves Town, unless I saw that incorrectly. We do have some nice divergence here, a bottle, a heart piece, a rupee, and 10 arrows in Hide Cave, more junk in Sahasraral's hut, everybody loses. Hooray!
Hooray!
So Andy now heading around. We'll see if he goes left or right here. He's going left. That'll be over toward Diggy and Stumpy. Walter, meanwhile, heading over to check a magic bat with that powder we got.
This is not a bad call considering we've got magic powder and hammer. It's open. You can check it. Might as well check it right now. It's not a bad decision at all. Especially because of the fact that the game sometimes does point you directly where it wants you to go by giving you certain items. And we'll see, it is going to be just a big 5. And Andy ending up with some bombs from Stumpy. So, once again, Stumpy, you've let us down. We'll see you in qualifier number 10 here.
Now we're over to the dig game. Unlike the vanilla game, the dig game is actually kind of friendly in Rando. You'll get the prize within 30 digs. Andy got it on the first dig, so that's really friendly. Was just a big 20, however, so that first dig doesn't really matter. It's just, it's there. It was not a big waste of time.
And there we go. We got the first little trip up to Death Mountain here. Andy's going to go through the dark cave without the lantern and rescue the old man. One of the nice things for Andy and a lot of runners, if you've played this enough times, you kind of know how to navigate through the cave. You don't really have to do too much. He's waiting right outside the other room, and the path is pretty simple and safe. it's a little bit more treacherous when you're dealing with Randomizer. But Walther is in Dark World, and we see those two pendants. Green pendant is at, I think we saw this from Andy as well, but green pendant's at Swamp Palace, and red pendant is going to be at Palace of Darkness.
That's a hard piece from the chess game. Andy making the play up to Spec Rock before going to East Death Mountain. It's a long walk, kind of annoying when you can't mirror. But, you know, you got to check it at some point, right?
Yeah, this is just a visual check. It's going to be a big 20, so it's an item that we will not be able to grab again, which I believe... I'm trying to think. It's probably a male then, I think.
Yeah, the only thing that could be at the moment is the mail upgrade. Everything else that converts we don't have enough of yet.
Yep.
Walter diving into Thieves Town, he can full clear this dungeon, so why not?
Might as well. It's a crystal dungeon. I always like to joke that ABCD is a good way to remember how to be fast at rando. ABCD, always be clear in dungeons.
See, I feel like that was accurate back in like V26, where the algorithm was really busted. Maybe not as much now.
Right. Well, it was more accurate back then. It's not a bad strategy right now, but yeah, usually if you have a dungeon you can go into pretty early, it's not necessarily a bad idea to poke your head and take a look at least.
Yeah, you can make an argument for some of them where maybe going through in go mode is a lot quicker, like Ice Palace or Swamp. But Thieves Town, gonna be about the same either way. Ooh.
Yep, that's the second sword upgrade, the Master Sword now. And then, of course, we get the one remaining item we have to have in the front of Thieves Town, the big key, to be able to get to the back. But that second sword upgrade now for Walther going to be pretty helpful.
I don't know if you caught it, but over on Andy's side, he got the mirror out of Paradox Cave, so that's lovely.
Yes, indeed. Both getting some good plays here.
I think that's something you want to see after the opening to this, is that you want to see like one item in every place you can go. So everyone has to just do everything.
Yeah, and I was just about to say, oh no, poor Andy getting dead rocked there, getting trapped with no way out because he doesn't have the boots, so he can't dash and break the pile of rocks.
I missed that part.
Yeah, I think we have Canis Samaria is up on the island there, so here we go. We're gonna need that.
Not, however, gonna need that 300 rupees down there in Hera, and he's just gonna walk away.
And there's the big key, of course. And we're gonna see on Andy's side here, we're seeing him use the bomb to set up the Hera pot. So he's gonna clip through that pot, fall on in, use the hook shot to get in there, and grab himself a fairy and teleport on up to the very, very tippy top. And of course, he's also going to fall down the hole here to open up the way to the big chest and a big 5.
And he's going back up, which surprises me since Hera is a non-green pendant. And I guess clear it while you're here, that way there you don't have to come back later if pet is required, but this is a bit of a gambling play, I would say.
I think so. I think you're gambling that you might need pet later for this, because there's only 2 items in here, and Andy's found both items, one in the basement and then that one in the big chest. So I guess the counter argument to that, as he's dealing with Moldorm here relatively quickly using the hammer, not a shock, it's just, you know, that Moldorm fight didn't go very long. It's not a deep, heavy clear.
Yeah, definitely not a major time commitment. Also, a quick answer to a comment in the chat there: do you just walk past the bumper? Yep, as long as you get on the right pixel, doesn't matter if you got boots or not. If you don't touch that little X-ish area in the middle, you just walk right through. It's beautiful.
Yeah, the game is beautiful in that regard, in that you know, when this come out in 1990, 1991, you know, 30 years of people playing this game, we've pretty much figured out a lot of fun little things you can do to break the game, and you know how pixel perfect you have to be to kind of walk by the bumpers and do all these small little maneuvers. It's really amazing, but what kind of stuff we find, and we're still, I mean, new stuff still being found all the time. So like, I'm sure there's more things that we'll figure out. We'll do two things at once. The game doesn't like it and does something interesting.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for that Armos shake storage to come into play someday. It'll happen one day. Walter with a blind fight went a little bit off the rails. You can get that fully scripted. He didn't quite get the full perfect script, but was pretty dang close. Still a good fight.
And yeah, for those who are unfamiliar with the blind fight, as long as you don't die, that first time you go into the room, the movements are all scripted out. So if you know where to stand, if you've done enough practice with it, you can just kind of very quickly go through there and defeat blind. And we do, I think, yeah, we did get the mitts from Walther there. I think that was in C-shaped house.
Yes, it was, which does conveniently open this up for him, but on the negative side, unlike Andy, he does not have the mirror, so he's going to be potentially looking at doing mirrorless Smith chain, which is awful.
And finding just a full heart hanging out in the peg cave.
Now Walter gonna go do the digging game, get his first dig $20 because the RNG is largely the same between seeds. There are points where it has to vary things that can change it, but for things like the dig game, yep, it'll be the same for all players to make it nice and fair.
Well, that was very nice and very fair. First dig, red rupee. Wow.
Now, Andy going to C-shaped house, gonna get his mids. The question is he gonna go right into Thieves Town, or is he gonna go do something else? With the flute and the mirror, he could conceivably, grab the blacksmith and bring him home, and then grab the purple chest, do that before Thieves Town. But no, going to the dungeon first.
Yeah, not a bad decision. I think it's probably a smart call here, first from the get-go, and Walther is going to be taking our friend on quite a long tour here. So let's just see how far Walther goes with the Smith.
I guess in here you gotta stop at Hype Cave. I don't see him going all the way up to Catfish unless playing really, really thorough.
You're probably right on that. I think it's probably just the Hype Cave check, and then away we go.
He'll get his 5 bottles of nothing. Well, I mean, there was that one blue potion. They could matter, but we're talking about top level players. The potions aren't gonna matter much, if they matter at all.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're probably right on that, but it's always welcome. No, I'm not gonna turn down a free blue potion. I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely not.
But yeah, you're probably right that it's not gonna be necessarily a need.
And look at me being wrong over here. Walter continuing on the blacksmith tour, gonna go up to at least Pyramid Ledge and maybe up to Catfish.
And Catfish, I think, is the one that when there is something there, it catches people out because it's so hard to get to. It's just so hard to get to if you're not routing it in directly. And it gets so easily forgotten because we see a lot of people go ahead in seeds and fake flipper early if they can, and that usually takes care of the waterfall chest and usually Zora at the same time. So when that happens, when you've got those northeast quadrants areas checked off, it becomes very difficult to remember that, oh yeah, the Catfish is up there in the dark world all by itself. So
gonna see what's there, if it's gonna be something that'll give Walter a nice little edge, or if this is just all, walking over here for nothing. I'm gonna bet on the latter. That's what it usually is.
Yeah, generally this is a high risk. Most cases a high risk, low reward kind of check where you're just kind of wasting. Oh, I wouldn't say wasting, but you're using up a lot of time to go check here, and on the occasion that it's something that you need, if it's progression, that may actually be the situation where that could win you the race, because as I mentioned, it's really hard to come up here and remember to check this location. Oh, well, Walther shows very well with the boots on Catfish.
Yeah, we'll take that.
Yeah, das Boot. But yeah, that's an incredibly nice find for Walther. That's gonna not only open up so much, but right now we're at 28 minutes, and he's got the boots, so he's gonna be able to move around the world a lot quicker too. So that's gonna be really interesting. I think probably with the time, at times as they start to come in, we'll see a difference between people that went to Catfish and people that did not.
For sure, the boots don't save you as much time as, we sometimes make them out to be, but they save enough time just constantly with every movement if you know how to use them that it really adds up when you get them early.
Yeah, the earlier you can get them, usually you get a little bit more benefit out of it, but it's certainly not for Andy, especially a player of Andy's caliber. It's certainly not a run killer here. He's going to be just fine.
Yeah, of course, you always gotta wonder if Desert is gonna require those boots or not. If not, you might see a decent amount of people go through the seed bootless, which,
Right.
Isn't the most fun way to play, but it's not super uncommon.
Yep. That's a good point there with the possibility that Desert Palace is required to have boots if the big key is, or if a required item to get through the dungeon is up on the large lamp there. And everyone calls it a torch, but it's a lamp. It's way too big to be a torch, guys.
And we did see the Meyer entry medallion was Ether over here on Walter's side, so we're going to need that medallion at some point.
Yep, not much in the shed there, unfortunately. So probably always will say that as I check here. You have to go to, unless you're in go mode, and you have to go to Misery Mire, but not having anything of importance is not uncommon. I've seen that happen many times before. But there's Bonk Rocks. What's in here? Just a big 20.
Nicely timed hook speed there to get out of that room as quickly as possible. Now, looking like we're going to head for a lumberjack check. Once you get the boots and you can actually get the lumberjack item, it's worth knowing what it is.
Right. It's also lets you know if you need to go through and take care of Aga, and it's going to be just a big 20.
Big 20s for everyone. Andy about to get his...
Yep. And Walther now going up to do the Death Mountain check, so we saw Andy do a little bit earlier, so Walther will probably have that mirror in due time. And of course, having the... Also worth noting, Penny, having the Titan's Mitts is also going to be able to go to the Dark World and will be able to get the Key of Samaria. So that's a very nice little bit of, I guess you could say, unintentional routing by Walther there, but this should pay off pretty well.
Yeah, it's always it's probably the reason why he put off the mountain a little bit like he did, was looking for the mitts specifically for that efficiency. It's a lot of items up here, so Andy jumping there early is usually the more common play. But holding off a little bit rewards Walter, and hey, he's gonna get the payout from it.
Mm-hmm. Kind of, I know a lot of people. So I learned this when I started learning to run the randomizer. Is a lot of people will tell you kind of like, if you can check Death Mountain, if you can get the Paradox Cave early, it's never a bad idea to go check it, because you often will find that of the 7 chests that are of like the 7 or 8 chests you can get to on the east side of Death Mountain, there's usually at least one good thing that you can grab.
Yeah, usually. And Andy got nothing out of the purple chest. He's gonna go check another location Walter wasn't able to early shortly, which will be the checkerboard cave. Kind of the flip side of Walter getting the cane on the way up here. You know, Andy's gonna get the extra check over here. He just got the extra check back in Village of Outcast Kakariko from having the mirror. So kind of both routes have paid off in pretty reasonable ways.
Yeah, all things considered, these two are not actually that far apart. Once they get all their checks up, it's going to be really fun and interesting to see when we get that kind of that run convergence that we so often see. Because usually what happens is at some point here, the seed's going to start to go really linear on where you need to go, and you're going to have a lot of that option and choice. Ooh, there's a tempered sword. So that's beneficial for Andy. So, and Walter.
Yeah, hopefully Walter makes his way back there at some point, because that's a rough one to miss.
And of course, going to go up on top of Turtle Rock here. We'll get the second medallion check is Quake medallion. So, I believe that's a pair of vanilla medallions.
Very nice. And Andy's stealing the key from the back of Desert so he can check the right side, even if the small key is on the lamp there. So yeah.
There's the lantern. Just hiding out in Super Bunny Cave in a dark world.
Perfect place for it.
It's the ideal place for it. And I believe the small key was indeed up on the torch / lantern there. So that means that boots probably are required to progress.
Yeah,
through
with
Desert
that
Palace.
compass in the map chest there, that confirms we're going to need the boots, because the big key will be locked on the right side over here.
Yes, indeed. And oh my goodness, Hookshot Cave paying off in spades for Walther. We got out of that the book, the bow, and the flippers. So 3 important items hanging out here, and a 4th one, in fact, up on the island. So bow, book, flippies, and the Cane of Samaria all in one location. Wow. That's a packed location there.
It very much is. It's wonderful for Walter, and he's going to mirror over to Spiral Cave, so I'm guessing he's not going to dip Independent Hera at the moment, which is a good choice for him. It's going to be the right choice.
Of course, we know that, and Walther doesn't know that quite yet. But that will benefit if he decides to skip that. Save a little bit of time on that. And Andy looks like he's going to go back and probably do Hookshot Cave and Cane of Samaria now too.
Definitely a beneficial move for him. Walter checks his map again real quick, probably on accident.
And yeah, Walther's going to go to, looks like Easter Palace, and clear this out.
Yeah, it's a crystal, 3 items. You got the full clear in logic, so no reason really not to do it.
And yeah, we're pretty close to having all the items we would need for Go mode at this point too. Actually, we just need we need those 2 pendants and then the 2 rods, and I think we're good to go.
I was gonna say, I don't know if I can call it too close with 3 of the hardest to find items and medallions and the ice rod being the 3 items.
Right. I guess from a number of items, it's closer, but with those specific items, maybe you've got a good point there, Penny. That it's going to be quite tough to find those because they can be just about anywhere.
Fire Rod, on the other hand, that should come pretty easily. We need that for Skull Woods too. We probably want it for Ice Palace. It'll be around. The other three, though, eh.
Yeah.
We had a couple people asking about the bow. You'll see it right here.
Yep. Top chest in the Hookshot Cave. I was about to say, just watch, like, Trinex has the ether as a drop, so that would be like the cruelest, I think, possible spot for that to be.
Why are you so evil?
Because I can't be.
That's fair. Sahasrabot has pushed me a little bit to that side lately, but so yeah, Eastern has been empty of value so far. We did get a dungeon item, I believe, and some junk. We're gonna go get the big key out of the vanilla spot, and then check the big chest and Armos from there.
Indeed. And actually, if you want me to be you want to be evil about it, Trinex has a shovel. Shovel leads to mushroom. Mushroom is the ether. That's even worse.
I don't know if that's evil or just rude.
Both.
Yeah, maybe both.
Walther now, of course, navigating quickly through probably the easiest dark rooms in the game. In Eastern Palace. Get the big key right here, of course. It's the only thing that could be there. Hey, well, there goes my shovel idea.
Yeah, but now that shovel could still lead to something interesting, which, would be
Right.
bad for Walter, who's done everything else on the mountain except Terra in
Right.
that location.
Yeah, it is a big 50, so that's not the big 20, but still a lot of rupees. But yeah, if Andy ends up finding going to the Spike Cave as well. But yeah, if Andy comes across Dig Spot having an item that is a required item or it leads to a required item, yeah, that could be potentially really bad for routing's sake. Spike Cave just gets a full heart container, so all that pain that Andy went through just for an additional heart.
Walter, meanwhile, making his way through the back of Eastern, had a little bit of a mishap in the dark room, but everything else has been going pretty smooth for him. Going for the bottom right quick kill I see. I think, if I recall correctly, it's technically a little bit slower, but he missed it anyway. And Eastern empty. Andy now going to check if that Hera clear was value or not. He can clear pod, he can clear swamp, and it's couch cash.
Yeah, so Ped's dead. We don't have to worry about going on our way to Palace of Darkness to beat it, but you never know. Maybe our friend Helmus King has a required item.
It's possible, or maybe our friend Lamolus. I forget if Andy got both items in Desert or not while breaking into the right side. I don't think he did, though.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember where if I saw Compass and if it was on the right, it might have been on the right side. I'm not entirely sure, but we'll see here in a moment. I know map was in the big chest and big key's on the right side, so.
Yes, there's one item left on Lammo. The compass is in the map chest coming up right here.
Okay, yeah. So then got one item over there on the right side, and then Lammo's got the second one.
Andy getting his junk out of Sahasrara and heading over to, I'm assuming, going to do Eastern first, and then go back to the Dark World for Pod if he doesn't get an item there.
Right.
Interesting note also, since this has come back to bite me in the past, neither runner chose to dip into Skull Woods at all. So there are 0 to 2 items available in Skull Woods that could be important, that I'm sure a lot of people in this qualifier saw early.
Yeah, especially since we had pretty early access to get to the Dark World portal in up by Kakariko there. I wouldn't be surprised if someone's made that play, or if multiple people have made that play already, because it's a fairly popular play to make.
Absolutely is. And as we work through the back desert here and Andy through the front of Escape, we are at that point in the race where you start to run light on stuff for Andy. He does need to get the catfish. He's got pod left. He's got, obviously, catfish left. But he doesn't have a whole lot else. So he's, as long as he doesn't dive into swamp, he will be in decent shape. But if he makes that swamp dive, it could really hurt.
That is true. Or, you know, it could be a dive that leads to like 3 things that you need, and it's like, wow, that turned out really well.
That too. Yes, it could. Now, Walther with no rods, with just the regular arrows and the Master Sword. This is basically like fighting Lambo and NMG, which is not a fun fight. A little bit better, but not by a whole lot.
Yeah, just it's tough. It's just tough because you've got all of the regular material you would have going into it, but the only real advantage you have is with that Master Sword. Hey, well,
so okay.
Hello.
So he's now going to go back into the Dark World and find the other sword that's like 10 feet away.
Right.
Most likely.
Well, it won't be. It will be a sword, but it won't be a sword.
Yeah, it'll be a sword until he picks it up, which he won't do. But if he did,
Right.
then it would turn into a green 20.
Right. Andy, on the other hand, will find a green 20 on Lambolas, and that will be fun.
I'm glad that we had them go through that area in different directions so we could see both of these swords and know they were both existing.
Yep. Yeah, he's gonna dip out there, so he knows it's something that he needed. That would have been something either they couldn't pick up if it was a male, or, as we know, it's the 4th sword upgrade.
And Walter coming down here, going into the Dark World. There are 2 options here, pod or swamp. He's doing one of them, but I don't know which.
They're both pendant dungeons too, so it's gonna be swamp. Wait, yeah, maybe. Yes, I think it's still gonna be swamp. Wait, no, it's not. He's chosen option C, Benny.
Oh yeah, he's going to Cave 45 here.
Yep.
Which makes sense to do either way. But yeah, Chad bringing up a good point. He did just get the 2nd Pyramid Fairy Crystal, so he may be going to do that after he does the cave here.
That's a very good point, actually. I'm just gonna pick up some hearts because he can.
Did he just actively choose to have sword beams? That monster.
Okay, actually, not gonna go pick up the Pyramid Fairy quite yet.
Going for a Bombos tablet over here. That's not a bad idea to knock out.
Yeah, getting some of these otherwise isolated checks done, and Andy takes down the Armos Knights and gets his crystal. And it's a heart container on Bombos.
You know, well worth that whole long trip over here. And Walter did menu back to the mirror, so he is almost certainly diving into swamp afterwards because, well, you're not going to use the mirror for anything else, really.
Yeah, I think the factor I would argue for here is Andy goes into pod. There's one more chest to check, but that green pendant is an additional item that you might be able to go ahead and check as well.
Very true, and he gets a small key at the front here. Won't be able to do pod in the most convenient of ways since he doesn't have the boots to hover to the right side. So I'll have to do it, you know, the slightly slower way that most people do it.
Of course. Nice thing about standard is that it's basically anything that's not key sanity is you always get a key in that first chest, so you don't have to worry about, where's the swamp small key? Where's the swamp small key? Oh my gosh, where's the swamp small key?
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit nicer.
And get some bombs as well in the first chest.
Now, with the Cane of Samaria, Walter is going to be able to do the easy version of Diver Down, as Andy gets the mushroom in pod. Hey, buddy. So if you don't know, according to pod key logic, there need to be 4 keys in the front of the dungeon. So once you find 2 things that are not small keys, everything else will be a small key. In this particular order and routing through the dungeon, it's not going to really benefit Andy to know that at all. But, you know, it might benefit you, the viewer, at some point, and so I'm spreading that information.
Yeah, it's always good to spread a little bit of the information on how the logic works. Helps you not only to understand what's going on and why runners might make their decisions, but you know, if you've never picked this up and someday you decide, oh, I want to pick up Link to the Past Randomizer, just having that little trinket in your mind helps you kind of plan your route through the dungeon, just figuring out, you know, okay, if I've got these 2 items, you know, what else do I need to have? And that's the same kind of thing, just knowing the number of items in the standard randomizer like this that, you know, are just hanging out each dungeon. So have an idea of, okay, I don't need to go and open up like 3 other chests because there's just a bunch of junk in there.
Very much so, and at this point there's really no like joking about, oh no, he flooded the key, because we're all used to Diver Down by now. Walter's gonna be able to jump underneath the water here, go grab that key, and make this all happen in a very nice, smooth manner, thanks to a relatively new glitch.
And there's 2 setups for it. We're seeing one there. We'll probably, that's kind of, I feel like it's kind of up to which style you like better. You can use a bomb to do that, or you could use the Cane of Samaria. I've seen others do both, and there's not really a difference on how you know, if one's quicker than the other. It's just kind of what items do you have and how comfortable are you with one doing it one way over the other.
Yeah, pretty much. I think the Cane version is a little bit quicker if you do it perfectly, but it's not a huge amount.
Right, that's probably true, because the bombs have a fuse before they go off, so it might be a little bit quicker, but it might be a little more convenient, you know, if you're going to do Icebreaker as well and you have a lot of practice with that. Big 50, so nothing really here for Walther in any of these chests so far. And,
yeah, ooh, that's an important item in pod, the Quake Medallion. We need that for T-Rock.
Yes, indeed.
We also got the Cape, which puts Bumper Cave in logic. That could be important, but we haven't seen it from either of these runners yet.
Yeah, I was about to say, we haven't seen Bumper Cave yet. Just very quickly about Diver Down, how that kind of works, and I think we'll see Walther do it here in a moment as well. Just this is the other place that you get a lot of use out of it. Basically, what it does is it throws you onto, yeah. So normally when you go through, the water's on one layer and you're on the same layer, but it doesn't delete the water. It just kind of makes the game think you're on a different layer than the water. So it kind of lets you just walk around normally on it. I believe that's kind of like a really rough explanation how it works. There's a much more technical and complicated way to describe it.
Or you can go with the even simpler version. There's basically one tile where the game converts you from ground to swimming. And if you don't jump into that tile, you're going to be walking still, even though you're in the water.
Right. That's actually kind of that's an even easier way to explain it. So Diver Down kind of does that. It's kind of like reverse flake flippers in a way.
Get an Argus fight, not going for the dash poke quick kill. That is very hard to do. If you're not 100% confident that you can make that happen without costing yourself time, you're better off just doing it this way. Because, yeah, if you end up 2-cycling, it's already not worth the time you save killing the puffs. Andy, meanwhile, starting another boss over in Dungeon 1, Helmasaur King. 17 slaps of the hammer to the face, and then 4 hits of the sword for phase 2, most likely. Gonna do... Oh no, he's... I was gonna say, is he gonna use the hammer even though he has tempered sword?
You know, he might do it for some flair and to show off, but I think in these kind of races where your time is everything, you're just gonna go with what works.
Yeah, and Swamp was empty depending on the green pendant. Pod did at least have that Quake medallion that we need, but otherwise empty, so not a lot of payout from either of the play these two made.
No, but I'm pretty sure based on what's open, I wouldn't be really shocked if Walther goes in the pod, especially if he can route in Pyramid Fairy in the same kind of breath here.
Yeah, unless he gets, like, Fire Rod or the Ether Medallion out of here where you go to Ice or Mire, which are crystals, then he might leave this path.
And, Penny, we might be noticing here that Walther's hookshotting stuff and then dashing with the bomb, and some of our viewers who might not be too familiar with that might be like, wait a minute, you can't do that in the vanilla game. Is that a change that has been made in the randomizer? And the answer is no, it's a glitch. Oh, there's Ether. That's in Pyramid. That's nice.
That's actually unfortunate for Walter, because he probably would have continued over to Pod if he hadn't gotten that. Instead, he's fluting away over to Mire.
Alright, he'll probably end up back in Pod at some point, but this does delay that slightly.
Yeah, and can't blame him at all. You just full clear Pendant Swamp Palace for nothing. You really aren't looking to jump right back into another pendant right away.
Right. Andy's going to go ahead and he's going to pick up boots here. He's going to have catfish, so... Or actually, no. He's going to turn mushroom first. No, he's going to turn a mushroom first, yeah. Just use
he's going to turn the mushroom, then do catfish, mirror over, check the waterfall fairy, and Zora. Nice, good group of stuff here.
I like this, actually. This is really good routing from Andy on this efficiency side of things.
Yeah, that mirror makes a big difference coming to catfish, because if you haven't done the flippers checks already, it suddenly turns into a, 5-item check instead of a 1-item check, and that's a lot easier to use the time for. Walter heading to his first chest here, as Andy's gonna go, man, I could have had these so long ago.
Yeah.
Like what, we had Dark World access at 8.5 minutes, and Catfish was available immediately. So you could have had boots from about 10 minutes all the way through if you went straight there.
Yeah, but I know Andy. If I know Andy, he'll be slightly disappointed about that. But oh, there's Fire Rod. Okay, that's beneficial as well. But that might I think that might send him over to Skull Woods first. So
yeah, he's got that and Ice Palace open now. He does also have Desert to complete. I'm sure he'll go back there eventually. But probably one of those two places with more items first, if I had to guess.
Yeah, no, that could actually be something, and it could be slightly problematic. Not super problematic, but slightly, because Desert Palace is the other 5/6 crystal. So he's going to need to go back to Desert Palace first, but he might be thinking Mire Palace back to back. So
yeah, the troubling thing is gonna be if he uses that Cane of Samaria and Quake Medallion and Fire Rod to go up to T-Rock, that's gonna eat up a lot of time. That Ice Rod might be in there. It might get him his go mode, but we know Ether's not in there, so it leaves some questions. He's going right back to Desert, so he's at least gonna have this boss down and the access to the Ether Medallion available. Wizard's getting in the way of Walter doing the lamp puzzle here, but there's plenty of time, so not really a concern.
Yep, Andy's going to snatch that key back and Looks like going to the back here, so we'll get that 5-6 right away.
Walter getting a vanilla big key. You know, you gotta sit through the walls. Incidentally, you know, hashtag fast walls. Because the festive rando for the holiday season this year had fast walls turned on where you know, just the walls moved right away. And it was hard not to love it.
Back in my day, you had to wait 30 seconds for those walls to move, kids. And all they're wanting their fast walls right now.
So we're gonna see a much easier Lamola's fight by Andy.
Oh,
there's the ice. Ooh,
okay.
that's...
Well, yeah.
Oh,
We, as the viewers, are in no mode. The runners are not.
that is so awkward for both of them, the way these items are placed. Oh dear. Walter's got to find an excuse to go do Pendant Pod, when if he does the flippers checks before going there, he would have a lot more options. Andy's got to do Pyramid Fairy to get access to Meyer at all when he has a lot of other options left. These two could both go on some wild goose chases right about now.
Andy's going to the ice.
Yep, immediately underway with that wild goose chase. We're gonna go see Ice Palace, which we know has no items that we need. Andy, however, does not know that. In his eyes, it could have both items that he needs, because Ice Palace has 3 items inside, so, you know, this is a great play to him. But it's really just bleeding time at this point.
Yeah, this this could be quite this could be quite the wait here to see if we get somebody who makes the call here to go where the other one has gone before.
I liked Walter's hybrid, going for the NMG damage boost spins, but also recognizing his health is not great, and doing a little bit of a safe hybrid strat there.
So, Penny, I was gonna say, Uncle told us at the start this seed was a bad seed until it was the worst. So, well, kind of living up to it a little bit here. Not the worst, but kind of rude, ridiculous a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. I think in the current situation, I would give a little bit of an edge to Walter in terms of how nice the seed is being. With Fire Rod and Quake being his remaining items. Quake's gonna be a pain, but Fire Rod should be straightforward. For Andy, the Ice Rod and Ether could be more of a pain. I think it's a little bit meaner to him. Oh look, Walter's gone to pod, so yeah,
Yep.
he'll be fine.
I was just about to say, Walter making the play right now to go to the Palace of Darkness is a smart play. We're gonna get that cleared now the way here. Another crystal, not a crystal, actually, it's a pendant. But yeah, we'll find Quake Medallion and probably at that point go ahead and mirror out. Actually, gonna turn in green pendant first. Again, that's not a bad play. You're here, you got green pendant, and it's a big 20.
Yeah, so the question now becomes, if you're Walter, when do you get to the Fire Rod? Like, you're not going to be going to Ice Palace before you have the Fire Rod, because you don't know where Bombos is at. You could go to Skull Woods first. He hasn't dipped into Hera. He's got other options. So, you know, when does he make his way to the right place, so to speak?
Because it's in Waterfall Cave. I don't know. Yeah, Skull Woods is not completable. your hope there is that if Fire Rod is in Skull Woods, which we know it's not, but in theory, if you're thinking Fire Rod might be vanilla, you're probably thinking Skull Woods. Ice Palace, of course, we don't have Bombos, so Fire Rod, so we're not getting in. He's not going to go up there. And Turtle Rock's the only other play, but I think, you know, as runners of this randomizer tend to try and do, you kind of want to leave TR for last if at all possible, and you want to kind of make it your last resort when you're going up there. So I feel like probably we'll see. Gosh, I don't even know where.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what overworld stuff Walter has. He's got a decent chunk of options, all things considered, but not that many.
No, he's got a couple of overworld checks, but Andy taking care of Cold Stare, by the way, while we were discussing that and making it look super easy. Going through Ice Palace pretty quick. He's gonna go check Hobo, who's not gonna have the thing that he's looking for.
Then we'll see where he goes afterwards. I could see Skull Woods being a pretty straightforward thing to do next. Ooh, Bombos. Let's hope Walter doesn't get that before doing Waterfall.
And that's kind of the big thing too, is that there's a mushroom that could be the thing that sends Walther up to Waterfall Cave there, getting that mushroom. I forgot that was here, so he's gonna want to go turn that in.
Well, he'll just flip to 2 with Catfish already
Right.
done. He won't do the walk up that Andy did.
Right, but he'll know that he's still got those other checks to make too in that upper quadrant there.
Very true. Very true.
And
he is making the safe play first
Right.
here.
making the play to Skull Woods, which isn't a bad play for Andy. But I kind of like that idea. I guess I'm just trying to think what I would do if I was in this situation as a runner with that mushroom. I'd probably want to go turn that in and then clean up anything I've got up there, just so I don't have to worry about it anymore. And there is Quake.
I'm gonna go get the 2 chests in here on his way through. Gonna keep going because he's still looking for that Fire Rod. Obviously not gonna get it. I doubt he'll try to make a play up to T-Rock without Fire Rod in this situation. So I do think Waterfall is coming up pretty quick, one way or the other. Andy working his way through Skull Woods. We'll be going up against Mothula here shortly.
You kind of have to think that Walther's just kind of like counting items right now. Just, trying to figure out, okay, how many items do I have left to find in this dungeon? When I get my last one, I can go ahead and head on out. I think there was one more item that was actually on the Sword King, so
Mothula a little bit rude to Andy there, hanging out on the spikes, but gets him down.
Gets the big key out of it. One of the dungeons where you don't need the big key to get to the boss.
Yep, and now's the important decision time for Andy. If he goes to Pyramid Fairy, he's golden. If he doesn't go to Pyramid Fairy, oof. Well, I guess realistically he's gonna finish clearing out Skull Woods, then make that decision. But the decision is, we know it's gonna happen.
Right. At some point here. I kind of feel like, Pyramid Fairy might. I kind of feel like maybe he may be thinking Pyramid Fairy first, and then Swamp Palace would be the next likely check here for the missing items. Well, once he gets that ether, he's probably going straight to
At least personally, I tend to do Swamp on the way.
Right, that could be a
Gotta love when
possibility
your
too.
internet cuts out.
Yeah, it could be a possibility as well that you could have Swamp Palace on the way and then Pyramid Fairy. It's just like there's so many options here for our runners, and it's like, okay, which one do you take?
Just take all the options at one time. Just clone Link a few times and check everything at once. You'll always win.
Open every chest simultaneously.
With 216 links, what's really going to stand in your way? You can just walk over everything. You're an army. Walther wrapping up the Helmosaur fight there. Gonna get his junk off the boss. We'll see where he goes. And he finds a heart piece on Bumper Cave.
And Walther now knows that. Well, the other thing Walther doesn't know is he's not checked pedestal, so I think he's probably still gonna grab that pendant because he knows he might need it. But I don't think we see Tower of Hera yet. I think where do we go? Do we see the flute to 2 here? Yeah, he's got the flute out. So is it the 2 though? Looked like it. No, he's going. Oh no.
Oof.
Oh no. He's going to Hera.
Yeah, I mean, it's a... Death Mountain is a solid play for him here. He hasn't done Spike Cave. He's got Ether Tablet. He's got 2 items in Hera. It unlocks the pedestal, which he hasn't checked. And he's got, you know, T-Rock potentially as far as Laser Bridge without the Fire Rod. So this is a very reasonable play. It's just unfortunately going to be a very, very wrong play.
I will say you have to think if somebody nailed this chain right, they're probably pretty far into the seed. I have to think that based on having Walther getting dead rock there, but I have to think getting close to 110 here, we'll probably start to see if anybody got it right as far as the checking of items in the right order and just kind of minimize their additional checks.
I don't think there's as much concern about that in the seed. The items were so far spread out. Item in Pendant Pod, nothing in Swamp, but you had to get the Pyramid Fairy, which is awkward. Hera was empty, but you had to get a decent amount on Death Mountain. Might get up there before the mitts. There are definitely areas that are empty that can eat time that are pretty easy to get into.
Mm-hmm. And Andy's going to 4 now, so he's going to go to the Dark World here. Now it becomes, does he go up or down?
Yeah, either way, it's going to put him in the right direction. It's just a matter of how quickly, and he's going up.
I was going to say, it looked like he was going to the right, which usually means you're going up, so...
He's going to take this up here. He is going to get his Ether Medallion. He's sure to go to not Ice Palace, Misery Mire after getting the Ether Medallion. And that'll get him his Ice Rod and Go Mode. Walther, meanwhile, with Moldorm down, is highly likely, I would guess, to go dive into T-Rock. You're going to hope, if you want Walther to finish as soon as possible, that T-Rock is going to lock him out immediately.
I'm just going to go to Spike first, it looks like.
Okay, this is better. If he doesn't dive into T-Rock at all, it's even better than diving in and getting locked out.
Yep. Again, I think we're going to see both runners really trying to do that, to preserve that T-Rock at the end kind of mentality, if they can do it.
The heart container out of Spike Cave, saving Quit. Andy freezes a bird and waits for a cutscene, and Walter's back to the mountain, but pulling out the flute.
Which I think means we're not going to Turtle Rock quite yet. And he's got the shovel out, so I think he's thinking dig spot first. And then it becomes a question of where next.
Yeah, that's a good question. Andy getting through Mire 2 there, a little bit rougher without having sword beams, especially when in NMG you usually have sword beams for that room.
And he flutes away, and 2, 3. So this looks like Skull Woods.
Yeah, this will unfortunately be a loss of time for him. It is something that, you got to do at some point, though. Oh, no, he's going to go do Purple Chest first, at least.
Interesting.
Okay, I'm wrong, too. It's going to be Bumper Cave.
He's going to check that, yeah.
I think that's the most wrong guesses I have made about what someone is going to do in a short time period in a while.
Yeah, Bumper Cave, and then I think he'll hook a left here. And now he'll do Skull Woods. Andy making progress through Mystery Mire, getting closer to getting that big key, and just getting closer and closer to getting into go mode here.
Yep, now the plus side for Walter here is that both items in Skull Woods were available pretty quickly entering from the front, or I think those were both items. No, he just didn't get a key, never mind. Now waiting for the cutscene on Andy's side as we are going to open up another chest here, and mirror back to the front, and go back to the front of the dungeon, most likely. Always annoying when Skull Woods can't just give you that one key right away, so you can just walk over here nice and easy and risk-free.
Yep. Walter's going to pick up another key and continue on the journey here to find the bombs and mirror all the way out and dip.
And he's going to go ahead and either check or blind pull the pedestal, one of the two.
And at 1:15:45, Andy opens up the big chest, gets the ice rod, and is in go mode.
Yep, and someone mentioned in the chat that, there's no way for Walter to catch up at this point. I mean, there is, but when you're up against someone as good at this game as Andy, who's not going to die several times to anything in the game, there's really not. But this is a qualifier. He's not, racing Andy. He's just racing to put up the best time he can.
Correct.
To get a score, which, when you blind pull a big 20 off the pedestal, not really a great seed for the score coming up, I feel like.
No, but the good news is, if it's the slowest, that will get pulled out from the pile, so you won't have to worry about that.
Yep, and he's diving into the water here. He's gonna go, okay, he's gonna go to Hobo. He's gonna get Bombos. Then we have to hope he doesn't go into Ice Palace.
I think Andy tried to set up Spooky Action Glitch and didn't quite get it. Because he had the rod out and it looked like he was trying to activate it, and I don't know if it just didn't work, or if maybe I was just misreading that as an attempt.
Well, I see he's at 0 magic before picking up that small magic pot. I didn't catch the whole scenario, but I'm thinking that might be why.
Yeah, it looked like he had the rod out and and used it, and nothing happened, and he had to cycle through really quickly to get to the bomb.
Gotcha, makes sense. We are going to get a vitreous fight here. This should be pretty smooth. And Walter is pulling out bombos. He's not going to check Waterfall Ferry before Ice Palace. He's unfortunately hit the opposite of the God route here. He's going to be doing everything before he gets the very early accessible Fire Rod.
Yep, and that's 6 crystals for Andy. Walther has 4 actually. Hasn't completed Ice Palace yet, but we'll get that 5th one shortly. Because Andy's going to head on up to Turtle Rock and get ready to kind of finish up this seed.
Yep, should be pretty smooth. Go mode T-Rock isn't really any quicker than non-go mode T-Rock, but it's still gonna go, you know, smoothly with Tempered Sword and etc. Also, for anyone wondering, you know, why would you dive in here before going to Waterfall? The answer is pretty simple. Especially if he's not looking at race time and, you know, doesn't know if people are done or not. The Waterfall Ferry, because of the Moon Pearl being so early, could have been accessed about 6 minutes into this race. We're now an hour and 18 minutes into the race. He's pulled Pedestal. He's thinking if you have an item of importance in that location that was available that early, I've lost massively. So I might as well bet on the weirder thing instead of going for the easy one that's going to mean that I did terribly.
I think that's a good assessment. These are just kind of, these seeds are just kind of really tough to deal with too. But yeah, it's a situation where I think Walther is just trying to maximize possible, you know, chest grabs here and checks and all that, and you know, clearing dungeons seems like it might be the safest way to go. Just kind of hoping that maybe Fire Rod's hanging out somewhere here, even though we know it's not. Walther has no idea about that.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Fire Rod locked behind Bombos and Ice Palace is a pretty steady meme for a while now. So over here in T-Rock and Go mode, what you're looking for is an early big key, so that you can skip the vanilla big key location in the middle of the lava room. You also want to not have a combination of keys in the big chest and the lava chest. Because if you got small keys in both of those, you potentially, and you can't skip the big chest. And if you try, you gotta waste time going back. As long as one of those isn't.
Well, I was about to say, Penny, we did get the early big key there in the roller room, so it's part A of the fast Turtle Rock complete. So now we gotta see if everything else is as we hope.
You've been using up one of those blue potions from long ago there to refill magic as well as health before moving into the Chain Chomp room. The Chomps can be royal pains, as they tried to show there.
Yeah, the Chain Chomps, not fun. Not a fun little Easter egg in this game. They hurt a lot.
Now Walter gonna go fight Cold Stare, find out he's got nothing. At this point, he's low enough on locations. He's probably mirroring After Ice and going right to Waterfall, so he should be hitting his own go mode here soon. Does not get the quick kill set up. That always makes you a little bit nervous because, well, Cold Stare does a lot of damage to Green Mail.
Oh yeah, and those falling ice chunks do as well. So you have to be really careful of them. You can kind of hide out on the top there, But yeah, it's just not an easy fight to do green mail, no matter what you've got. The puffs hurt a heck of a lot.
And I like what Andy is doing here. He is not going to skip the big chest. This is a slower path through the dungeon. But this defends you against that situation I was talking about earlier. If, say, a small key is right there, then you can't possibly get locked out of Trinex. So it's a much safer route, better suited for a qualifier. Whereas skipping the big chest is better suited for the 1v1s.
Right. He's going to go ahead and just skip most of the remaining chests, and he's going to go straight to Trinex.
Walter gives a little single slash at that chest, just like, you jerk.
That's a happy slash. He's so happy he found the fire rod. Yay, he's celebrating.
Sure, we'll go with that. So he's got a pretty straightforward route through the end of the seed. He's got to go clear out Mothula. He's already done most of Skull Woods. He's got the keys he needs. Got to go up and do T-Rock, which we just saw Andy do. And then to GT. So, I mean, he's almost done, which is great considering he pulled Pedestal until an hour and 23 right now. But he is, you know, a lot left to do.
And of course, everyone's favorite friend with 3 heads, Trinex. And Andy sets up a very, very nice phase 1 here. Just not even, they don't even get a chance to blast out the fire or the ice, which super clean, super nice, and he's going to take care of the second phase here probably very quickly too. Yeah, super quick.
Yeah. I will say my saddest thing about the hard item pool for the tournament is that we never get to see the zero cycle Trinex in this tournament because we need buttons for it.
Yep, you need that fourth.
Oh, Walter, no, you're fine. Just no.
Oh, he's gonna reset. Oh.
Yeah, so that's effectively like the torch glitch on Ganon. Game doesn't like when 2 things happen on the same frame. If you happen to light that torch same time, another thing is happening. The torch visually doesn't get lit, but the game knows it's lit. So if you light the last torch, you'll be fine. But unfortunately, Walter didn't recognize that and ended up mirroring out, which would be, you know, the way to fix it if it was really bugged.
Yep, and as mentioned, as we usually like to mention, we do have our usual guessing game here. Go ahead and people are already doing it. They're already slapping a number in chat on where they think the big key in GT is. Andy's too fast for us.
Indeed, I also forgot about the game because we got no bot going because of the qualifier. There are other people who may have already seen this, so it's easy to forget when you're not actually running the game.
Right. That's also a good point. Is that yeah, we may have some friends in here who know where it is, but that's okay. That's why we don't run the bot. But anyways, Andy's gone ahead and you've seen those first 3 checks, and it's not there. Going on up to 4, 5, 6, and 7. Right up here.
The single arrow. It's about time, and there's the big key in number 5.
And I can look right now, but Logic 286, you did guess 5. Congratulations, friend. You got it. 65K10 also guessed 5. Anyone else guessed 5 here? Yep, that was it. So, congrats Logic for being the first one to guess 5, and congrats as well 65K10 for guessing 5, and everyone who guessed odd numbers on the predictor. I am jealous of you, and I am sad.
And for your prize, those of you who won the guessing game, congratulations! You can get 5 free mystery seeds from Sahasrabot. Go to Sahasrabot and type $mystery. Congratulations! He'll give you a dumpster fire.
That's true.
Andy now making his way up the gauntlet. He is very good in NMG. In fact, he recently got a new PB at 124.37, if I recall, which is fantastic. That's a little over a minute off the world record. So the Gauntlet, the things that are the same as NMG, you're going to see him do very well. So this is going to be a fun little execution jaunt for the next few minutes.
Yeah, I was just about to say, Penny, that Gauntlet is all just execution and how you get through all of these rooms. They never really change too much. The only time they're really different is with Randomizer, and at that point they can kind of become like a colossal pain in the butt. But yeah, we'll get to see why Andy is so well regarded here as far as being a runner of this game. Just we're going to see a lot of really good execution on his part, as Walther is now into the beginnings of Turtle Rock here. So not he's behind Andy, of course, but he's not terribly behind as far as like he's not 20 minutes behind or anything like that. Just a couple minutes behind from the extra checks.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, he's about one Swamp Palace behind, so that dive kind of ended up coming back to bite him, I would say.
I think so, yeah.
And he already through the gauntlet has torches 1 and 2 to deal with. The first one here is pretty annoying when you don't actually know how to do it, but once you do, very, very easy.
And all the way up to the 6th floor, so he's got the 2 keys, doesn't have to spend the time grabbing one off the mini Helmosaurs here.
Yep, and did not have a menu to bomb in advance, so he had to pause there for a second and go, wait a second.
And he gets bunny beamed anyways for his troubles.
I love that not only did he get bunny beam, but he stuck the anti-fairy in the block so he couldn't just run into the closest thing to him.
Oh, he's hovering. There we go. There's the anti-hover everyone was waiting for.
It's slightly quicker than beating Moldorm. If you're confident enough in your ability to hover on the fly, then that is usually the better option.
Right, and Andy is very much one of those people who can just do that kind of, I wouldn't say automatically, but he's very skilled at the hover.
Yeah, once you've done it enough, it's just kind of second nature.
And of course, now it's time for some geometry here with the Aga 2 fight. Just got to reflect the beams back into Aga's face.
Barely missed the triple double. Instead gets a 2-2-1-1.
Very nicely done.
Now we have one thing left, the Ganon fight. Now, the game expects you to have the silver arrows to fight Ganon. It requires them, in its own logic. But thanks to a nice little bug, if you, attack Ganon as he's about to teleport in Phase 4, he will take damage. So you're going to see a relatively normal Phase 1 and 2, followed by 12 spin attacks as Ganon starts to teleport in Phase 4, which will allow him to do the damage and get rid of Ganon.
He's looking pretty good so far here, already on the Phase 2. We're going to use those dashes to kind of try and speed this up a little bit. And no Trident, so we are on to Phase 3.
Yep, very good. Phase 1 and 2 here. Going through a bunch of warps.
I was going to say, kind of giving them the jukes here a little bit on Ganon's side. Yeah, not so much. He's starting to cooperate now, looks like. There we go. Yeah, actually pretty little amount of warps. Did you find the arrows not planted Ziphis? Because, of course, they're not in here.
I just want to say I was very nervous for Walter there for a moment because he got to the last chest of Laser Bridge to find the small key he needed, but he did get it.
That is good. Meanwhile, Andy using those tempered sword spins to take down Ganon here. It's all timing. You got to do it just right. Otherwise, it doesn't count.
Yep, and if you're in ideal situation, you're gonna light the torch right about when Ganon lands. That'll give you just enough time to get 3 spins before the torch goes out again, which, you know, cuts it down to 4 cycles, and very, very nice.
Very nicely done. Walther is finishing up try next, but Andy is just about ready to walk across that bridge and finish up his qualifier race here. Indeed, Andy has finished his race with an official race time.gg time of 1:32:38. So that is good enough in this qualifier race to put him 11th. So we did have some people finish just ahead of him. Just really quickly, you think we should run through the qualifier times? Here's some pretty impressive times on here, actually.
Yeah, I'd say a top 10 breakdown
Sure.
makes sense now.
Right, and of course, there'll be the 10 people that finished ahead of Andy. But first place overall, Ninban, finishing with a 120 flat. So that's I guess the answer to, did somebody figure out the right path to go through the game? And Dainty finishing in second with a 125.05. Relkin was third with a 127.14. The Boulder 300 in fourth with a 127.37. Right behind him, Brev with a 127.44. Duke Firebird, really good time from Duke here, 129.29. Obscura Lifeform in seventh with a 130.21. And exactly a minute later, Furious Magic with a 131.21. Kind of coming in ninth with a 131.56. And just before Andy finished, Jet had a 132.36. So pretty good company here up in the top 10. Some names that are a little new to me, and some names I definitely recognize.
I get a kick out of two of the recent tournament champions being back-to-back 2 seconds apart like that.
Yeah, that's pretty good. As Walther now heading on up to the gauntlet here in just a moment. I think we'll have both of our runners here after the race. So stay tuned for that. We'll probably get some interviews here shortly. I believe Andy's joining us right now. GG, Andy. Congratulations.
GG.
How you feeling after that one?
Real safe.
Real safe.
Yeah, we pretty much played that as safe as possible. I think the big bad non-decision was me not fake flippering early. That changes pretty much everything I do for the better. But
yeah, Walter got about the same thing there. The fire rod was his go mode.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, but I felt like it ended up being relatively nice because I got to loop all of that, like pyramid check into mushroom, into catfish, into the Zora area. So it ended up feeling pretty nice. But if I get that fire rod early, I do Thieves Town into Skullwoods instead, and probably do catfish there significantly earlier. But Ice Run wasn't in Turtle Rocks. That's all that mattered.
Yeah, we were wondering if it was going to be a situation where it was Ice Rod, Turtle Rock, but the not getting that early check to go up to Zora there actually did kind of pay off a little bit in the end, I think. At least with the efficiency side of things, you were able to get all of those checks at once instead of having to go back there again and again and again.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen with these early, like, Dark World Access and Cackwell. Is always a little spooky, just because anybody, like, I wasn't expecting to come anywhere close to winning this race just because of how wide open the seed was extremely early. But you know, we still did pretty well, got a decent score, can't be too upset.
Yeah, it seems like the average shouldn't be too bad here. It looks like we had one person kind of get the perfect route, but everyone else was a little bit close.
Apparently, Ninban did Kakariko into Hype Cave to Catfish, so Ninban got boots at, like, I don't know, like the 15-minute mark or something like that.
Nice.
Yeah, we were kind of wondering about that, if somebody was going to make some kind of really wild routing decision and turn out to get all these big important items early. And apparently Ninman was the one that did that.
Yep. I immediately messaged him on Discord and I called him a clown. But yeah, solid qualifier overall. I see Walther finishing up here soon. Did Swamp Palace, I suppose.
Yep.
I immediately after that Dark Death Mountain, I was like, okay, well, Pedestal is like actually in logic right now, and I have 1 crystal, so let's go check Pedestal, I guess. It smelled so much like a ped seed, it wasn't even funny. But
yeah, Walther blind pulled ped as well, so that check probably saved you a little bit of time because you just knew that, okay, I don't have to worry about getting all of the peds and then going all the pendants and then going up the ped and having to do all that long route.
Yeah, like my thought process, I guess, was like I was gonna probably do Eastern and Pod anyways, no matter what. But if there's something on Ped, I know I'm going to Swamp afterwards. So that gives me like maybe like 15-ish, 20-ish minutes of like actual solid route before I have to think of what else I want to do. And it ended up, I didn't have to do Swamp at all. So it was great.
Yeah, it's always a nice feeling. If I remember right, it was one of few things you actually got to check, wasn't it? Or skip, wasn't it?
Yeah, looking for Ether, I had Pyramid Fairy, Bombo's Tablet, Swamp, and Turtle Rock without Ice Rod. So I didn't have too much left. And I definitely was going to do Swamp before Turtle Rock in that situation if Ether wasn't in Pyramid Fairy. Just because everything I would have had left is Mirror Lock, so I'm guaranteed losing my portal at Laser Bridge. So yeah, it could have been way worse.
Yeah.
It could have been like some of the fun stuff you got to do in the past, like that one seat at GDQX where you ended up on like a 3-hour tour looking for everything.
That was fun. I
remember that one. But yeah, as we're chatting here, Walther is actually now in the end fight. Got a 1-2-1-2 on Aga 2 and is on to, I believe, phase 3 here, so should be finishing up in just a moment.
I do need to go eat dinner since it's almost 11 p.m.
Oh yeah,
thank you guys
not
for
a problem.
Coming. Yeah, this was way worse than my first qualifier seed, so here's hoping we trend back the other way, I guess.
That's always the hope. But thanks for hanging out, Andy. Of course, if you want to follow Andy, he's at twitch.tv/Andy. So not too hard to find him on the Twitch.
And if Walther hops in, give him a big old GG for me.
Absolutely will do, sir.
Walther, meanwhile, is on phase 4 here, going through his turn at the silverless stuff. He is looking for 12 hits here total. I haven't got an exact count as he's been going through. Gets hit by a fire bat there, which of course slows things down a little.
He's trucking along pretty well here, so I have no doubts that Walther will finish this up in just a moment. He's got to be careful not to bounce himself off of the bounce himself off Ganon and end up falling to his doom. That would be rather inconvenient, to say the least.
Yeah, although a lot less stressful now than like if you're in a situation where your opponents aren't done. When it's already a qualifier and first place finished, 21 minutes ago, it's not too concerning.
Yeah, you're just kind of trying to get a decent enough time here. Even if it's your
damage.
Yeah, even if it's your worst time, at least you can go up from there. But Walther finishing up here, and get your GGs in chat for Walther. He'll have an official time on racetime.gg of 1:41:33.
Okay, so now we're just going to run through all the names between Andy and Walter.
Oh, God. Well, I mean, just to give you an idea here, Walther's time is going to be 37th best, but there were still 115 people in this race, so That's all things considered. It's not the worst, and I believe we have Walther here. GG Walther.
Yo, GG's.
GG's. Andy also passes along his GG's. He had to go eat dinner because it was late for him. So.
Yeah, I actually heard that part. That's when I opened up the
okay.
restream.
Okay. Good to know we passed it along. How you feeling right now?
I mean, it could have gone better. You can definitely say that.
Yeah.
That fire rod, though.
Yeah. With me getting catfish out of the way early, I kind of forgot about the whole Sora area pretty much until I went to pull ped. So yeah, that was an interesting go mode. I think most people probably didn't have fire rod as go mode in the seed.
Yeah, and I got a moment of sadness when I saw you go to Hobo before Waterfall. Like, he's gonna dive into Ice Palace first, isn't he?
Right, because we saw that Andy had checked that before, and it had been the Bombos, and we were just like, oh no, he's gonna go Ice Palace now. Because that's I mean, with what you knew, that's definitely not the wrong play to make, because that is your access into Ice Palace, and it was there pretty much. Hobo was there pretty early because you got early flippers, so or relatively early flippers because you went to Hookshot Cave first.
Yep.
So
yeah, towards the end I was kind of hoping Fire Rod was going to be in Touch Rock, because that would probably have tanked the time for everyone in this one.
Yeah, I'm still surprised Nimbam managed to get 120. This had items everywhere.
Yeah.
Right.
I guess like the only pendant you had to dip into was pod, so you could have done that early with seeing it as a pendant when you don't have like a bow or something like that, and then maybe just fall into the rest of it.
Yeah. I guess really, you did make some really good plays early on. Getting the early boots, that early catfish check, even though it did kind of burn you in the end, by maybe kind of isolating that northeast corner of the map off a little bit. That was an interesting play, and we were very we were kind of enthralled by that pretty early on, just watching you make that move.
Yeah, definitely nice to be dashing for once in these qualifiers.
I'm jealous, I won't lie.
Yeah, I haven't had boosts into many of them so far as well. I think this is this is my 5th seed. I don't think my score overall is going to be super high, so I'm probably going to have to check the score sheet a bit and maybe throw in a couple of extra ones towards the end. Because I don't think my overall score is going to look very good after this.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as some of them have been, but the average is still relatively low, so it is a painful race for scoring.
Yeah.
Right. I will mention, I'm just kind of, I'm not going to say anything about as far as standings go, but I am kind of looking through the standings. This seed did seem to catch out. I think a lot of there's definitely some names pretty far down the list that you would have thought, oh, these guys would have been up toward the top, and they're pulling in some pretty big times. So it's always a possibility that this seed might actually affect one way or another how some people end up getting seeded.
Yeah, with so big turnouts in the qualifiers, it's kind of bound that a couple of people will find like the correct route, because there's just so many different paths that are going to be taken when you have so many entrants.
Yeah, especially when you have 8.5 minute Dark World access, and it's just like, oh,
yeah, that's kind of scary. Especially since like everything in the Light World I did after that had almost nothing. I hope to find like maybe a boots or mirror or something to get before Dark World. But yeah, GG's to Andy and everyone else in this qualifier. GG's to Nimben for winning it, and thanks for doing the comps and tracking.
Of course, and as you might be wondering, if you'd like to follow Walther, I know we put the we have our bot here, but it is twitch.tv/WaltherIV, Walther4. It's also in chat right now for those who are wondering. But Walther, thank you so much for letting us restream your playthrough here.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Not a problem.
And just to kind of quickly touch on a little bit of scheduling stuff to keep everyone in the loop, we do have another qualifier coming up tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, if I recall.
Yes, it is.
And that'll be actually one of our runners from tonight, Walter here, is scheduled to be on commentary for that alongside Adirondack Rick. So that'll be a fun one tomorrow morning.
Oh yes, those two great commentators, and I'm sure that they will have two really good runners in that race for your qualifier number 10 restream. That's going to be on SpeedGaming 2. So same channel as this, just a 2 instead of a 3.
And other than that, just a moment to thank you, Nihon, for joining me tonight. This is a fun cast, an interesting and fun seed to call.
Absolutely, Penny Royal. Always good to work with you, friend. I've co-commed with you before, and it's always been a pleasure. And once again, it was a pleasure. Blech. I could speak properly here. Apparently, it's getting too late in the night. It's a Friday. Everyone's exhausted from the week. I believe we have a ALTTPR daily race coming up on SpeedGaming 5. Should be starting soon. I don't know. Let me check real quick here, see if we can get some info on who might be commentating for that and what. It's open boots is what I'm seeing on the schedule here. Professor Render out. I'm getting a Twitch ad now. Dang it! I'm trying to figure out who's doing the things. Come on, guys.
Well, while you're waiting on that, I'll give a quick shout out to our tracker tonight, Joey Gatorman, who was on top of that tracker, keeping up to date, keeping us with all the information that we needed in order to give the right information to chat. He does point out in chat it was his first time, and he did a fantastic job. So,
absolutely. So yeah, thank you so much, Joey. I'm glad you got a fun seed to track for this time. But yeah, Professor Render and Shin Dig Pig are doing the commentary right now for the ALTTP Randomizer Daily Race. Open Boots are two runners. Idiom and Laggy are the two featured runners in that one. So that should be pretty fun to watch if you like to watch some more rando tonight.
And there's also a bunch of Super Metroid rando going on as well. So if you want to watch that, look at the other Speed Gaming channels, and they've also got some stuff going on tonight through mostly Metroid through the night.
Yeah, the Speed Gaming the Speed Gaming, it looks like 1, 2, and 6 will have. Actually, it's 1, 5, and 6 or all have SM Rando League races going on right now. I think we're gonna probably start to wrap this up here. Remember to check back on Speed Gaming 2 tomorrow at 10 a.m. for the next qualifier race. And I've been Nihon Tiger,
and I've been Penny Royal Oil. And thank you guys for coming out, and we'll see you on the next one tomorrow for qualifier number 10.